And a very warm welcome back to 2017's first esports tournament of the year. It's ESL One in Genting, over 5,000 feet up. I reckon this might be the record highest ever esports tournament. What do you reckon?
I think so.
I don't think I've ever been higher at an event, that's for sure.
Jack told me that in China they call it... Oh, I forgot. God damn it. It's something in the sky.
Great anecdote.
Brilliant.
No, it was
fantastic.
It was really interesting at the time.
Should we move into the third game?
Yeah, let's...
Is that going to rescue you a little bit?
It's the jet lag, Paul. It's killing me.
It is. It's killing all of us. Third game. Brilliant, because that's what we want. We want these best of threes to go all the way, especially when you've got two teams who are really, really in good form. And they both seem in good form. Both have had... The first game obviously went very well for Newbee. Second game went very well for Virtus.pro. Where do we go now? One of them's got to win.
That is true, Paul. In a best of three in the
Ben
third
always lets me
game,
down
only
when I look
one
at him, I'm
team
like-
can win. And we're about to find out.
That was a classic, wasn't it? One of these teams has got to win this game. But in all seriousness, which way does it fall for you, Cap? I mean, were you more impressed with the second game?
I think I was
Virtus.pro?
more impressed with Newbee
The first
in
game.
game one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was more about play than draft, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas VP, I think,
Felt
they-
much more of a
a
draft.
little bit more draft than play.
Yeah.
But not by a terribly wide margin.
Whenever they smirk like that when you give them a hero, it's never a good sign.
Yeah.
No, and they did, didn't they? Do you remember I pointed
Yeah,
out, as soon as they picked it, they kind of they kind of had a plan straight away, and you knew that might be a pocket pick, but it was very smart.
But I think
Newbee won't let
it
it
is
go
the case
again.
for these two teams, though.
Yeah.
It is the draft deciding who's going to win. Like, I think first game, Newbee did have the better draft.
do-
They did execute on a much higher level as well, though.
Do you not think too much gets put on the draft for winning, losing?
Well, generally, yes.
I mean, it's
Right,
about how
right
they
in this
execute the
particular
draft,
matchup,
right, isn't it?
I don't think so. I just think like, especially game 2, Newbee had a lackluster draft.
Yeah. Well, they were searching, weren't they? They were searching for answers. They were like, oh, Underlord.
Yeah, but maybe they just put too much emphasis on
Yeah.
instead of just like playing.
Drafting their own way.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
pretend it didn't exist.
Exactly the same three bands that we had in the previous game.
Are
No.
they going to ban Underlord?
There's an Underlord band coming up.
I don't know. They're dipping into reserve time.
Yeah, they're
I think
definitely
that's what they're
thinking
talking
about.
it, aren't they? Yeah. It's definitely been
I
discussed.
can't
But
believe they're
same first
considering leaving it out.
three.
What else has been banned? Slaughter's been banned a lot, too.
Neither of these two teams have played that, though, in this series, have they?
This is because it's been banned.
Yeah.
It's an Underlord
But
band.
VP will definitely take. Do they?
I'll go
I
have
think
a
they
word
take
with Faith if
first
this is
take
not an
Slaughter.
Underlord band.
They could.
Pro talking right now.
They might take Wisp. They could take Wisp and give them Underlord. I don't think it'd be that bad.
You'd at least take one of them away. But if you
Ideally.
take the Underlord away, don't you take the IO away? And then
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
think
really matter.
you take IO.
Yeah.
I still think Underlord's strong with the IO, though. That's a lot of their time.
Yeah, that is an awful lot of time. We don't see that much
I mean, I
time
literally
used.
think it's the
Okay.
fact that if they ban Underlord, then they leave Slardar out, and I think VP is very happy with that.
Yeah, there it is.
In which case, Newbee we're also probably talking about. They probably at some point decided, but
Okay.
they also were having the discussion of, well, if we give them Slardar, what do we get for our 1-2?
Yeah.
Now there's Lifestealer that you have to worry about. If you're
Yeah.
Newbee. Slaughter Lifestealer is very strong, but do they really want it themselves?
Yeah, because Slardar is also strong versus Lifestealer.
Yeah. What other good openers are there for them? We've seen Witch Doctor a lot
Seen
from
Shadow Demon, first two.
Yeah, Shadow Demon's okay against the initiating power. Like any, because Slardar is such a, in some ways, a bit of a non-committal initiation. He's able to just burst down heroes so quickly. That one hero he jumps on, he amplifies, and then there's some damage dealer behind him that is able to follow that up, and the hero just dies so quickly. So you usually need to be able to have some sort of saving hero,
I like
which is
Jug a
where
lot.
like the Omni came in, right?
You like what a lot?
Jug versus the
Yeah,
Lifestealer
I was
ball.
thinking that, but maybe it's too early to pick it, and it also sort of forces Virtus.pro into picking the Lifestealer.
Okay.
I'm happy they
Yes,
went
it
for the
is.
Shadow Demon. I'm just not convinced that Witch Doctor is worth the early pickup.
It's definitely way worse versus the Slaughter combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fairly non-committal as well. They're not really giving anything away, are they?
Yeah, but you don't have the Luna to go with the SD. I guess Luna SD might not be the best versus the Slaughter as well.
I do think Juggernaut is a pretty safe pickup.
Okay. So they have gone SD Life. First two.
It's okay. Slaughter is very versatile. You can also just work it into a standard like Shadow Fiend lineup
Yeah.
with the minus armor. So
And there are plenty of vehicles for Lifestealer as well, right? So there's still plenty of options on both sides. Just because you picked up Slardar on one side and Lifestealer on the other doesn't lock either one of these teams down. For example, like Queen of Pain becomes a lot more valuable for Newbee and may be considered a 3-4 ban by VP because of that.
Or
maybe
Puck.
they'd be
I like
scared
Puck
of
a
the
lot.
last pick.
But if you're VP now, are you not worried that Juggernaut
think
will be
Puck's
banned out?
Who's Juggernaut? Would you?
Yeah, are you not worried that Jug will be banned?
He'll be banned second phase, surely. If they don't pick him up now.
I think so, right? Because there's no reason for why Newbee would go for it now.
I don't think you're scared of Sora plus Jug though. It's not that that much burst. It's not as consistent as
wow.
the other ones.
Nice. I think that's very smart because it still leaves their draft open.
Yeah, I like the minus armor. Just basing your whole entire lineup around minus armor way more if you're the Slardar.
And Weaver's a traditional counter to Lifestealer.
Yep.
Very mobile hero, stays away from the Lifestealer, heavy physical damage.
You think they use that as a support?
I mean, I think we
They
don't.
can leave it
I
open
don't
right
think
now?
that even them, they're just like, this could be core, this could
Yeah.
be support. I think very likely
It's
it
leaning
will-
towards the support.
Yeah, just because you picked it up early, I
Yeah.
think the Weaver is very likely to see some counters here. In which case, you're just like, okay, whatever. Lil, play the Weaver.
Also plays the Slaughter.
They've been banning the Storm out every game.
Yeah. Why?
Well, now it's good. There's a lifesteal on the opponent lineup, so you definitely don't want to be bombed.
And then another game, it was like the Drone Ranger Storm Sphere. It's a classic combination.
I wonder how they want to deal with all this minus armor that we've seen. We saw what Axe try to be picked earlier to counter it. We've seen Vadin sometimes versus Slaughter. I think Omni Knight's also like pretty decent. Get rid of
Yeah.
all that physical. But Weaver's a very good diffusal carrier. Actually, you can't diffuse with the repel, right?
No, not
No,
anymore.
not anymore. I think
It's-
Newbee could
it's
go
still
into
good.
an OD Omni Knight lineup with this. It's so hard to kill any of them with that. You have the Lifestealer who they can't really touch on the well, they can with the physical DPS obviously, but not with spells anyways. And then you have Shadow Demon, OD, and Omni Knight for.
They can't kill anyone though.
Yeah, they don't have enough damage. That's true.
I think they would just get split pushed by the Weaver to death.
Yeah, he just picks up an early Deso and goes at it.
Yeah, so what other vehicles are there for Lifestealer? Is what? Bat, Puck, Quap, Storm, generally, is what we see. Slaughter, but
I
Quap
think-
might actually be a very good pickup right now.
Yeah, I think Quap is probably one of the best, but they probably save it for fourth.
she has a huge armor issue.
Oh, so this is what they did against NP.
Yeah.
They had the Lifestealer safe lane, Shadow Demon Mirana on the roam, Centaur off lane, and then Quap on the middle lane. I doubt they're gonna get those two last picks. They might get one of them. Well, they'll definitely get one of them if they want it, but...
I don't know. I like the Puck a lot more though, because they still don't have any control for the Weaver. Like SD plus Mirana is like not really that reliable versus the Weaver. Like just no AoE silence, no stuns, even I guess.
Yeah, if he
Honestly,
gets
the Jug.
Lincolns, it kills the combination.
The Jug didn't get banned as we thought it might in second phase, so it gets an immediate pickup.
So, Newbee know the mid matchup?
Yep.
They could go Quap versus Juggernaut again.
They don't necessarily know their mid matchup.
Why?
I mean,
Offlane Slaughter or offlane Weaver with support of the other, and then Ramses on the Juggernaut.
yeah, that's true.
I actually don't think that's a... Well, it would be smart. In the case of a Shadow Demon setup into Mirana Arrow, I guess putting Jug mid would actually make a lot of sense.
Temper's always an option too.
As the Queen of Pain.
So exact same as you mentioned.
Yep, no
Before.
surprise. Well, they also
so if
have
they're
a...
smart here, they knock out the Centaur, right? That's their final ban.
Yeah, but I think, honestly, I think Bat Rider might be a better pick.
Yeah.
They've got options.
Bat Rider versus the Weaver and the Juggernaut though.
Yeah.
Tough.
The Centaur is a, you know, the ultimate does make Lifestealer even better. He doesn't have to chase as much. He gets those 5 seconds of easy hitting.
I was trying to look at the lineup that they picked it against.
It was
I think
NP.
I think Bat Rider gets a lot of props here because he's going to have a better offlane than normal because he has these 2 roaming supports that can make his life a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
So we can potentially have him grab the Link Dagger before the Weaver gets his Linkins. He's obviously quite good versus Juggernaut.
That being said, Weaver and Juggernaut, well, you think Bat was quite good against Juggernaut? Oh, well, in the laning phase.
I mean, it's just nice to be able to have that disable that goes through magic immunity, no matter what. But
I think the instant cast has been trumps.
Yeah, exactly. I felt the same way with the Weaver, plus Swarm makes it sort of hard for Bat to...
well, he's going to be a vehicle for Lifestealer, so...
Yeah. Well, they already have Queen of Pain and Mirana for that. Queen of Pain especially. I do think they're going to go for the Centaur if it isn't banned out, but if Virtus.pro looked at... which they must have, right?
Well, I thought they would have after the first two, so they kind of would have put their bans that way, but they had to get rid of Storm, and they didn't get rid of Quap,
Virtus.pro is sort of in
which would suggest that they maybe didn't look at the draft for the first game.
Yeah, they're sort of in an odd place right now. They need... Okay.
Okay.
Oh, so this is... probably... still not...
Could be dual offlane.
Yeah, I think it's definitely
Yeah.
dual offlane. It's just whether it's the Slaughter or the Weaver.
Yeah, Weaver, Ben, and then...
I like Weaver Abba a lot more because
Yeah.
the life stealer is just absolutely useless in that lane. You can't do anything.
So you want Slaughter support then?
I think Slaughter support's fine. You
We've
can
seen
even
that.
have it as carry as Ramses. Yep. He's
Yeah,
definitely played it before.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like, I'm not sure if you want Slaughter and a Ben as your...
Okay, so let's see whether the...
They could also place the
Center.
Abaddon behind the Shadow Fiend on the middle lane and ensure that the roaming from Mirana Shadow Demon isn't going to do anything.
Sure.
Axe
Thanks,
ban.
man. Okay, so do they go Centaur here?
Well, Axe is good against Abaddon. I guess that's the logic behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very much drafted for themselves, haven't they, rather than drafted against. I think by the same token, so have Newbee.
Oh yeah, Newbee's going with tried and tested.
Yeah.
Is there any reason that because you have Quap as a vehicle, you could get a different offlaner?
There we go.
Or-
So that's Abaddon standing behind the Shadow Fiend on the middle
Yeah.
lane.
Yeah.
He has to.
Yep. Okay, well
Juggernaut
that's
saved
given Newbie a little bit of something to think about. But do they just stick to their guns and go with the Centaur?
I think they get outscaled pretty heavily though, unless Mirana gets an early Ags. I think Centaur might not scale well enough.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think scale's pretty good.
Shadow Fiend Jug and Sara.
Yep.
So
Okay,
exact same.
so it's exactly the same. They do stick with the Centaur. And I kind of guess from that, Ben, that they've kind of just stuck to what they want to do. They've kind of ignored each other's drafts.
I mean, I like VP's lineup a lot more, I think.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I actually favor Newbie here.
I think they have like so much minus armor. How are they going to deal with tanking all that? And then they can't kill anyone with the Abba.
I was thinking about that. I thought they were in a bad
Do
position.
you know what? I'm going to let these guys carry on arguing
Yeah.
backstage. Meanwhile, we're going to go back to our commentary team. Only Pixel, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Red. Indeed, we're ready to get down to the deciding matchup now between Newbee and Virtus.pro. The drafts are complete. We're seeing, indeed, as the panel kind of mentioned and predicted, the Centaur coming out as the 5th pick for Newbee. And something a little bit different for VP, picking up the Abaddon. And can you see why in this draft? Are you looking at Newbee's draft and saying you need some kind of hard to spell?
Yeah, basically, it's going to remove arrows. They're going to have Shadow Demon disruption and do an arrow setup that should give them a lot of laning advantage. Being able to remove that is great, and it's fantastic with heroes like Weaver as well. You can just do really aggressive things with your aggressive heroes and hopefully help defend against the run-at-you lineup that Newbee drafted. So.
Okay, well, let's see. We should be able to get ourselves into the action. And kind of interesting to point on as well, as you mentioned, the Abaddon going to be very nice with the Weaver in lane, but also at the same time, do you feel there is going to be the need for the presence of him to help out no one in the mid lane?
It's possible. Quap is a little bit scary because if SF does get out of position, she will go for the kill. So absolutely, Abaddon could make a big difference there. But as a whole, that lane should generally just trade farm, at least at the point where Shadow Fiend hits about 3 when Raze is actually a big threat against Quap. So nothing too unexpected laning-wise here.
Yeah.
But we will see Solo move a little bit. I think they could definitely put some focus on trying to zone the Centaur, try to delay his level 6, just because it allows, it facilitates Lifestealer from getting kills in a lot of ways, just because Lifestealer is so good at doing high amounts of damage, he can chase people down with the Stampede.
And it looks like the start here, sort of similar to game 1, really, no one to contest. There is, or at least attempt to move into position to do so at the moment, as each team just looking to secure their own half of the map. So as you said, the lane's pretty much what you expected. Is there a team that you feel is going to come out on top of the laning stage because of that?
Well, I think the mid matchup's about even. There could be some swings either way. You know, Shadow Fiend could kill Quap, Quap could kill Shadow Fiend. The off lane for Slaughter, I think, is quite a bit worse, I would say, than Centaur. Centaur's quite a bit tankier, and he's better at jungling. So maybe KP will have an advantage here. He's also more useful without Blink Dagger. Slardar and Centaur are both going to buy Blink, but at least Centaur can actually get a kill using his level 6 kind of a thing. So I think that's going to make a big impact too. Maybe the early lifestealer rotations are going to be harder, although he can just rotate with Quap instead. So I would say Newbee's draft comes together pretty darn well as a whole.
Talk about early rotations as well. We can see already Newbee getting into position with this SD Mirana combo. They're going to look for solo, and indeed, well, there's going to be no one to shield him if he's the target, and it's a good timing as well. Absolutely nailing it there, Newbee, with the opening and getting first blood in that mid lane.
Yeah, really cool rotation there, anticipating where he was going to be, and that's a hero you got to arrow. So because of that, now Pasha's going to get an easier lane because now he's in a 1v1 versus the lifestealer, so he should be able to get a fast level 2 because of this.
Yeah, with solo actually spawning and TPing back up there immediately, making sure that, they may have lost first blood, but they'll at least be able to put a bit of pressure onto U9 of Newbee.
It certainly could be worse there for VP despite that death. The big thing is no one getting pressured heavily right now, and this is the time he has to worry about the arrow lance.
It does. And they have got the right clicks to do it by the looks of it, with the Shadow Strike taking him down as well. No one falling low, has the Verify, tries to turn him out with a couple of raises, but SC's got the blink out. They get the kill, they get out, and the Mirana pick already looking incredibly good. I mean, they kind of say you can pick an Abaddon, but we're going to play around it very nicely.
Yeah, really nicely done by Kaka here. And so he can get basically free levels with arrow on creeps, he can grab bounty runes and stuff. This jungle is pretty much his, and they have to anticipate where those arrows are going to be and not get hit by them. So huge roam from him so far.
Let's see if we can get something done here as well. I mean, all the Ramses, I was going to come across and they'll catch vision of him, so they know that Mirana's in the neighborhood. Kaka had to hold back and potentially look to reposition and going again somewhere else. I'll just trade hits with Lil for the moment.
Oh, he's going to know there's a sentry there now, but yeah, and this is really smart by Kaka. Just by arrowing the large creep there, now it just means that the pulling for VP is even worse. So really good effectiveness from him so far. And he's actually going to be able to pick up an energy booster if he wants, but he'll grab boots here just for some extra movement speed.
And bottom line, they may say they can try and get that kill. They've got 3 heroes surrounding him. The setup's there from Faith. Kaka actually doesn't throw the arrow off there. Maybe not confident on being able to connect the timing around the Blade Fury from Ramsey. So they'll leave it off. Actually get this Who Stomp onto the Weaver. There's the arrow. They're saving it for the little kill instead. No way that he gets out. I mean,
great placement on the sentry ward allows him to see Lil there, and he did not expect to get stunned there by KP, but great disable guarantees that kill.
It really, I mean, Kaka, we saw him have a bit of a star performance really in Game 1 with his rotations on the Weaver, and again here in Game 3, his kind of game presence and the impact that he's having in these first 3 minutes is absolutely massive.
Pasha's doing great, top last hit leader here, slightly ahead of the Lifestealer on the mid lane. The Quap as well as the Shadow Fiend are pretty equal, both kind of disrupting each other's ability to get last hits. SC's doing a great job. Bought 2 Null Talismans as well, just trying to amp up his damage as much as possible at the start of the game because he knows that if he stays ahead of last hits on Shadow Fiend, then Shadow Fiend's going to have a hard time accelerating. So I like the item choice here rather than getting boots.
Yeah, similar build to what he did Game 1, and I imagine, do you think it's going to be the same? Will he still go for the Orchid, or are you kind of put off from getting the Orchid because there's an Abaddon?
It's definitely something he could skip, but it's so good against a hero like Weaver. So at some point, you know, Abaddon can only shield 1 hero. So I think it's decent if Quap still grabs it. Interesting skill build too. Grab 2 and miss coil. It does have a projectile, if you guys are confused like I was a moment ago. But pretty decent skill. Abaddon actually has pretty good nuke potential if you use your skills right. So it may seem like he's super defensive, but if you play him correctly, he can actually combo quite well. So I think heroes like Lifestealer have to be slightly careful on the safe lane. Especially as Pasha gets closer to 6. I mean, solo can definitely make something happen, but it's going to be tough because if he doesn't turn fights with the shield and the heal, then he's going to just basically be behind all game.
Kaka heading back over towards the mid lane once again. Doesn't have any sort of setup from Faith, as Faith remains down in the bottom lane with KP, and they'll look to move in, trade a bit of damage here with no one. They have to be careful. Kaka kind of playing on the very edge of his seat there.
That was so weird. Wow, traded
full HP. That level 1 star still harass, you know.
Yeah, with creeps nearby, that was the most bizarre thing I've seen in a long time, actually. Played amazing, but that move, not so good.
If he had gone down there, I'm sure the team would have had words. As it stands, of course, still 3-0 in favor of Newbee after a strong start. But you said, look at the lanes, the fact that Pasha getting a lot of CS on this top lane, they are going to have that kind of key blink timing potentially with this sort of rate of farm. And that's going to be absolutely massive for jumping on some of these heroes with Newbee and catching out the squishies.
I like that they rotated Lil up here as well because he is quite good against Lifestealer. It doesn't matter if he gets open wounds, he can still pressure well. With the Blightstone and Geminate as well. Can abuse some of Lifestealer's low armor.
Absolutely. U9
Could be.
maybe has to be careful because Pasha's don't have another crush yet. U9 just rages and backs away. No messing around here on the top lane. Ramses, of course, being backed up now by the Abaddon. KP still with a backup of Faith in lane as well, just in case there's any sort of a chance for a set around. I mean, a disruption into a stomp and then a TPing in Miranas with the arrow could spell disaster for VP.
It's actually really dangerous too, because he'd have to mango just to get the spin off, and he might not be able to do that in time before the stun hits. So a little scary for him here. He's been pressured so much in his lane, but he's actually being pretty vigilant about it.
Kaka, he's on up no one, and he could look to get a bit of damage out if he connects an arrow. He's going to look to line it up, has the connection, and it's perfectly done as well with SCCC coming across from the mid lane. They'll catch him up. No one thought he could get a few safe levels in the jungle there, but it wasn't to be the case. And again, I mean, it really just feels like the Kaka show so far.
Yeah, the wards that they place just spot exactly where Shadowfiend's going in. A little disrupt there on the Juggernaut, no problem there. But yeah, just making sure they know where the Shadowfiend is. They bought items in the laning stage to make sure he didn't get quite as many last hits as an SF normally does, and just trying to limit his farm, and it's working really well.
And back towards the bottom lane as well, so this is going to kind of flag danger for Ramses. As he knows that any sort of setup could really, really catch him out. As you said, he does have the Mango Blade Fury, but that may not be enough if the timing's right. And already KP, he's looking for that stomp because Kaka's in the trees. Ramses, he knows, he's playing around with this, dukes out the arrow. Kaka knows it's unlikely there's going to be the setup, so he feels that there's, you might as well just attempt for a blind arrow.
Yeah, it was a good try. If that landed, that would have most likely been a dead Juggernaut, or at least getting him very low.
Yeah, certainly worth giving the attempt there.
I see looking to pressure into the enemy jungle. There's so many wards, just giving great vision in the Radiant side. That's because they want to see where Solo is. Wherever the Abaddon is, that's exactly where they don't want to gain. So the spot where he is, goes
Ramses again. I mean, but this Radiant ward, he doesn't quite catch it again. I mean, he just goes with the arrows. He does miss it. But they may still get the kill as they close in with the Who Stomp combo, the Star Stomp and the double edge is bringing Ramses down low. A few right clicks should do. He's trying to get himself away from this. One more touch should bring him down. No, there we had the poor man shield proc saving him, but it doesn't matter. Face there around the corner, and they'll pick up the kill. I mean, the pressure that Newbee are putting on in this laning stage is absolutely immense.
Yeah, that was a little too greedy by Ramsey. It was the same thing. He wasn't able to pop Mango and spin in time, so the stun's going to hit for Centaur. But probably should have just eaten it ahead of time, just to make sure he always had enough mana to spin. I mean, Pasha's still getting good farm on the top lane. He's very close to the blink, and this is going to change almost everything here for VP. He's still a little slow, no tranquil boots, but if he can grab this blink dagger and move around and start killing crucial heroes like Quap, like do a blink stun, get a double raise, that's a dead Quap in a lot of cases, and they can catch up in that way. But for now, it's looking a little iffy. They've been pressured heavily all over the map.
Let's see what we can find here. Kaka in the neighborhood. He is toying around with that arrow. Ramses again having to be very, very careful on his own down at the bottom at the moment, and they're bringing in SCCC as well. Ramses hasn't got a TP. Kaka's going to hunt for him with the arrow there. I think the vision might have quite clipped him, and SCCC jumps in, but Ramses is very nicely moved around this, and it looks like he will get away. No attempt of chasing down that one. So Ramses playing around that 4-man rotation.
He's doing a great job. I mean, this is really the story of Jug in a lot of cases, is laning in a hard lane. Pasha's going to be able to blink initiate here.
Yeah, they want to do something in return. Coming in with a lovely 2-man crush here. Arrow to follow back through though, catches out Pasha, holding him back. Soaring wave is huge from SCCC though as he turns up, turns around the gank potential. And VP, they may lose more. They're hiding in the trees. SCCC was thinking about jumping in for more, but he had the amplifier on him and was taking a few too many tower hits to himself. But again, the presence there of the team of Newbee, SCCC coming in perfect timing and hitting a massive sonic wave, putting any attempt from VP to get a kill to a full stop.
And it all pretty much started with a disruption from Faith. I don't know if he expected them to go in at the same time, but because he disrupted the Jug, when the Slaughter stunned, nobody's going to follow up on that. It should have been an Omni Slash on the Quap, but they weren't able to do that because he was disrupted. That Quap ult was really good, though.
Yeah, I think it must have it looked like it hit at least 4, really, with the area as such, and certainly guaranteed them getting those 2 kills.
So, looks like VP is going to go for another rotation now. Slaughter plus Weaver could work. It's not very damage heavy. Maybe they'll set up for mid. They'd love for Quap to come up here, but very unlikely. He knows that the danger is there. It's pretty much all about Slaughter right now. If they just don't die to Slaughter ganks right now, I think Newbee's going to run away with this game. They're already up 7-0. And their heroes are hard to kill as well. Quap hard to kill. Centaur is very survivable right now.
Regeneration.
And they're desperately looking for something here. VP coming towards the mid. Kaka and Faith. See if they want to reveal each of themselves, but they know that something's up. They're not coming too close to danger. SCCC might enter into vision, but he will have backup. Pasha already in position, of course, in the tree line. Will jump in. Is there going to be any sort of save? They do have the disruption. Arrow comes through, connects onto Pasha underneath the tower. SCCC is able to blink out. Pasha loses his life. And as you said, Pose, this is exactly what VP can't afford to happen. A second attempt with the blink dagger, and it ends in disaster.
It's a great bait there. Faith in perfect position not to show. Disruption offsets the stun, and easy kill at that point when the arrow lands. So, and they sat around for a long time to even attempt that game.
But
it still
that must have been
failed.
at the very end of the... Well, it was after the smoke had actually expired.
Weaver going to try to slow this down, but there's almost nothing he can do here. Kaka's level 6 at this point. He's already got his point booster and 200 gold. Like, he's going to get a really fast Aghanim Scepter this game. And the early rotation starter ganks, they just haven't worked. And this was the guy that was the highest farm level on VP's side. They had to turn this into kills. And ideally, they needed a Baton to be in the area, that way he could get experience from enemy heroes dying. But instead, they're in this bad position now, where they lose the mid lane. That's where SF wants to thrive, bounce between mid and jungle. But they've really limited a lot of what SF should be getting.
Ramses has got to be careful again now, as we can see Newbee just sweeping through the jungle. See if they spot him out. Ramses keeping himself hidden in the trees, in the camps. No one will see him. Immediate Blade Fury and TP out, and it's close. I mean, one more jump and that might have done it.
SC had Blink on cooldown. That would have been a kill.
Oh, what if he blinks on Sonics? Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very scary there. But at least they know they're there, and they get out. They'll go for the top lane. They need to be able to pressure this tower a bit.
They'll be able to trade by the looks of it. I mean, Newbee are able to claim this bottom tier 1, and at the moment at least, no attempt to TP up to this one. Oh, now he'll come through it. They're have a good amount of health left on this tier 1. They could hold. KP has got U9 inside him. No blink, of course. Vanguard and Cloak on him at the moment. They're looking for some sort of wraparound. They've got to be careful how they go on this. There must be a bit of them that's aware that there's a potential. There could be a nasty surprise inside the center.
I think they can just expect it at this point.
Going to try for the jump in immediately, but there's U9 with the counter, jumps back out, looks towards Pasha. Pasha falling low the shield, not enough to save him. One more touch from U9 brings him down. They do lose the Centaur for it, so they find a trade here, VP, but it's not over yet. Kaka jumping forward, no one goes for the Requiem. There's immediate arrow, Faith comes into the neighborhood as well, but they've still got the Omni Slash from Ramsey. Bring them down low. Faith, he's able to disrupt himself, keep himself alive. Ramses can't stick around to finish off the kill. Ramses himself in trouble as Newbee looking to chase him down with a Shadow Strike, ticking him out. They'll pick up another, and again, VP tried their best to make something happen. But it just seemed to get once more that Newbee, they were expecting it, and they had an answer.
Maybe if Shadowfiend had mech there, it would have been fine. He is building that item. It's a great choice against bursty heroes and bursty things like Queen of Pain. If you can offset her ulti and stay alive for a bit longer to cast more spells, it's amazing. But they're not that survivable yet, and we're not really seeing that much of an impact from Solo. He's kind of just sitting back, pinging out some miscoils occasionally, sometimes removing a stun, but he's even having mana problems. It's like they're all so underfarmed and a little underleveled, very reminiscent of the last 2 games. And it's putting them in a bad spot. I'm not sure if it's draft related or maybe just patch related.
U9, we have to get the armlet up here. And in fact, with Faith in the neighborhood, U9 could be potentially okay. And yeah, they'll drop down the Demonic Purge onto Ramses. Ramses, oh, he's gone out. The Infest is there. U9 jumps out, takes the kill. Pasha is able to blink away here, but they're hot on the chase here, Newbee. They're eyeing him up. No, he's not going to get out with SCCC jumping in, cancelling any chance of a blink away. Pasha to fall as well. 13-1, 14 minutes into this matchup. Game 3, Newbee to being back on the momentum that they had in Game 1.
Their lane advantage is just so big from the way they played it, like constantly denying Juggernaut farm in the safe lane. And Ramses did a great job getting farm, but no one was also pressured in jungle ganks and things like that. And again, it was all about Slardar. He got a fast blink dagger, but no kills from it. And no one was, Solo was also super sacrificing all game, walking from lane to lane, trying to impact these lanes a bit. But they keep picking lanes that are a bit too greedy, it seems. And we saw almost no impact from Lil either.
I mean, it just seems so hard to find a way that VP can recover from this state that they're in at the moment. I mean, a lot of the times in games where VP are falling behind, you look towards Ramses and he has the farm, but this time around, he's behind Kaka on this roaming Mirana. The pressure, as you said, that they put on, it's kind of solved one of the issues that a lot of teams have with beating VP, shutting down both of the cores.
They're
See.
going to try to grab somebody, but
They
it's
need
just
to.
so difficult. Arrow scouting, and they're going to run into Centaur first as well. Or this Satyr. That's a good way to break smoke, I suppose. And there it goes.
I know that he's inside there. And
Did they realize?
they're going to start punching him down. I'm going to go and commit too heavily. In fact, Lil could be in trouble. Have they got the follow-up stun?
Great
No,
stun.
not. He gets the chance for Shikuchi. Yeah, Pasha coming in with the backup, allowing him to get out. Pasha takes the Sonic Wave to the backside and falls down. That's still Slardar out of the count. Newbee, can they get anything more? Doesn't look like they can. Now, VP, again, I mean, they're trying for these smokes that they have to go for. They can't find anything and end up losing a hero themselves. And Newbee, now with an opening to potentially... they could live Roshan. I guess they don't really have the best of lineups to do it. And VP do have ways to fight into the pit. So it looks like they'll hold back from that at the moment. I mean, with the lead they have, it doesn't really feel like they need an Aegis. They're in a very comfortable position at the moment as it is.
I just love what they did with the laning picks, like Centaur versus Slardar. Very similar, but Centaur has such a bigger impact in the laning stage. And then we kind of are seeing this in all of the lanes. Maybe something that the meta really should be more focused on is just really strong laning advantage. Maybe VP feels off their game a bit or something, but I just feel like Newbee's been pressuring consistently with better.
I mean, S.Z he's found Lil, but can he actually finish off this kill here, Lil? That's the time lapse. Arrow isn't going to connect. Lil trying to get himself out, but the sentry's dropped. The jump forward's there. The burst more than enough, and S.Z, of course, nice for him that he was able to set that up, as he did only just pick up the Yule Scepter. But we're certainly seeing why with plays like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a mediocre item in a lot of cases, but he's just buying it to guarantee that he doesn't get Omni Slash by himself. There's pretty much no way that Jug's going to kill him solo now unless he's stunned with an Omni. And if there's a Slardar that jumps on him and amp damages him, he can also remove it with the Yule. So just a very, very safe item in this game where SC feels so far ahead. Just needs to make sure to continue transitioning, not dying, and he's pretty much set.
I mean, 17 minutes in, you're looking at kind of the levels as well. I mean, it's not the end of the world, really. Ramsey's a no one. Still sort of on par here with the cause of Newbee. And Ramsey's putting pressure up on top. Has Omni available as well. Pasha's in the neighborhood just in case any sort of TP comes through from Newbee, so they could look to fight it. But it looks like Newbee aren't interested in taking this engagement, so at the least, VP will find a tier 1 tower for themselves up top.
I just feel like VP is lacking a lot of damage here as well. Like they've got decent team fight now with something like Mech, but they're still so reliant on Omni Slash, for example. It's pretty much all down to the fact that they have Corrosive Haze or Amplify Damage, whichever one you remember, and then some of their physical cores like Weaver and Jug. That's almost everything. And if that one guy that they go on doesn't die to the combo, Newbee's just going to run him down every time. So every fight, the way that they take it on Virtus.pro side is very difficult. They have to get Newbee spread out, they have to initiate with Slaughter Stun, and they have to have somebody with a big damage output nearby.
I mean, in terms, as you said, dealing with the fact that your damage is not in the best of places. No one, he's racking up the gold. On top of the mech, where'd you go with this SF mech build, do you feel, nowadays?
I think something like Ags could work just because it would increase your ulti damage, but I don't think that's the best solution either. Even something like Hurricane Pike could be okay against a Lifestealer perhaps, but it's not really going to give him the right-click damage output that he needs, so maybe something like Shadowblade would be better. It's kind of hard to say.
Smoke up from Newbee, and indeed under their own walls they know that there's no chance that VP have any idea that this is coming in. The Moonlight as well.
They did show with Lifestealer.
Yeah, Unime did reveal that they are using Moonlight, so well, kind of with that information, VP will head back to base, making sure that they're not caught out. So they won't get any sort of kill there, but maybe that was the kind of the play they wanted to make VP feel forced back. So they open up the map and they open up the potential to get into the Roche pit and do it, whilst VP they're still back on their high ground.
Yeah, I mean they're going to get more space at least, and fast Roche here, very easy. Bladestone SNY for Lifesteal. Not going to see a Echo Saber, a little surprising, but much better mobility this way with SNY. So. Aegis most likely on Lifestealer, then he can just jump in and be as aggressive as he wants. Yep, he'll grab it. It's very difficult for VP to take a fight. They're just almost entirely focusing on farming, especially Weaver. He's done almost nothing but last hit lately. It's like no matter where they go to pressure, there's just always a bigger threat of Newbee turning things around and getting a kill in response. just because of Shadow Demon and Queen of Pain and Mirana. They're all super mobile. They have great survivability. All of their cores are difficult to kill. Lifestealer's hard to kill. Centaur's difficult to kill.
Top lane SCC's found Pasha. Pasha is going to hang around with this, but Demonic Purge is there. Sonic Wave as well. No messing from the boys on Newbee as they take the kill. Lil, he's going to stick around for this. Juking out into the sidelines. SCC's hunting. Lil on the mana. And Lil just goes for the straight TP out. So Lil will be safe. And in fact, down bottom, Kaka, he's on his own, and they know it, VP. Now KP's turned up. Okay, he's not on his own anymore. KP and U9, TP across with the Infest Bomb. They'll take down no one. Ramses and Solo could be in a lot of trouble as well. Solo just straight up TPs away, jump in with the Omni Slash. He will get the kill onto Kaka, Ramses. So finding something at least for the side of VP, but he's into the tree line. He's caught out again as KP jumps forward with the stomp. Ramses to hit the deck as well. And it's just getting nastier and nastier in terms of kills. It really feels 18-2 now.
They do grab a kill at least.
They at least got Kaka. He got a bit of gold for that as well.
Yeah, I don't even think of Manta Style as what Jug needs to win the game at this point. He's so far behind, 20 minutes in. It's already a full S&Y on Lifestealer. He's got another 2,000 gold. It's like the damage output basically for Juggernaut is almost entirely reliant on Omni Slash.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know how much of a difference this really does make, but the kill as well onto the Mirana, it was finished off by the creeps, so ends up getting split between them rather than potentially Ramses getting that bounty that he really would have hoped for to help him keep up.
It could certainly help. Shadow Fiend is going to go for Hurricane Pike. It's almost there. We'll give him some more evasiveness, I guess, some utility, but it's kind of the same thing. VP moving around the map, farming, and trying to catch up very slowly.
No, that certainly seems the aim of the game when you look at Pasha. He's just lost his life, but he did manage to use the Midas, so value. He got the Midas out, so realizing maybe that for VP, they've got to hold on to the high ground. They've got to settle in for the long game. This mid game is just not working out for them. They've got to do something big with getting the Jug. The Weaver as well. You're kind of hoping that Little's able to get further up in terms of farm, as he did not have the opening that we saw of the Kaka Weaver in game 1. Maybe that's all that VP need, just time.
It kind of seems similar as game 1. Quap mid, very difficult to pressure. Ramses could just die here.
Yeah, straight up initiation, and there's any chance for a save there isn't. Blade Fury isn't going to save you from the chops of KP. Pasha has to be a little bit careful himself as well. In fact, he's already blinked here. Has the crush to hold back the lifestealer, but KP's there, jumps forward with the follow-up who stomp. They've got themselves another 21-2. It really is all falling apart here for VP. And up in the river, no one. They need some sort of help. Lil is there to ward off SCCC. Kaka coming into the neighborhood as well. In fact, Kaka has to be careful. Lil, can he actually get this kill? Looks towards him, but the arrow pulled back on the Sonic Wave. They take down Lil. No one will TP away, makes it back. But Kaka survives. You just can't kill him that time round.
No one's doing his best, man. He almost got that kill, but the wand usage gave Mirana just what she needed. They were almost getting kills, but they just haven't been able to stabilize yet.
I mean, again, talking about no one, I really feel it. You got to consider how impressive it is the fact that you're in a game where it's 2-22, and he's still second on the net worth. I mean, he knows how to farm, this boy.
And if he hadn't been pressured by Kaka in the laning stage in the jungle and killed in the mid lane, he would definitely have the top net worth, guaranteed. That could have changed a lot.
Keeping a level ahead this game. Solo will be jumped on here. Disruption, of course, to buy time to wait until the ult stops so they can clean up the Abaddon kill.
And they are just ensuring that VP does not feel comfortable leaving the base. They're holding on here, but it's going to be tough. They've got to get some kills. They've got to win some fights, but they just don't have the damage still. Like as long as Newbee just sits together, they're pretty much set in a lot of ways.
I mean, obviously you get to force a high ground push. How hard is it for them to go high ground, or is it pretty safe for them to do so with the lead that they have and the heroes that they've got?
It's a little scary, I guess, because of buyback reasons. Newbee could jump in and use a lot of their big cooldowns and then be punishable on the retreat, but the issue is VP doesn't even have very good disables in the first place. It's pretty much just Slardar.
Yeah, that really is the thing. I mean, it was all there, just straight up TPs out for Newbee in front of them, as you said. Slardar, the only one to really hold someone back from a TP out at this stage.
Yeah, I love the item pickup from SC here, the Shiva's guard. They're underfarmed. They're very right-click focused. If you get a Shiva's and reduce all their attack speed by 45, it's like offsetting treads and more.
Yeah, this Quap is not dying. So she's 6-0, 6 at the moment on SCCC. We saw him have a pretty spectacular game in game 1, and this one certainly panning out to be even more impressive.
So more map pressure. I do like that Slaughter's queued up a gem. Picking up the gem here could finally give them some map control and maybe get them some good engagements. But it's not like Slaughter farms that fast in the first place anyways.
And he could be about to lose a bit of gold here as S-Triple-C jumping forward. Backup is there as well as Kakas coming across. Pasha, no way he gets himself out of this one. And that gem purchase is going to be put on a bit of a back burner as he's knocked back a few hundred gold.
Ugh. And his Mighty's off cooldown.
Oh, that's the worst. Ramses. Have to be a little careful if KP goes for the jump, and indeed he will. Follows up after the Blade Fury comes off, and there's the backup. Demonic Purge is there. Goes out with the Omni Slash, and it's going to be a Crimson Guard. And of course the disruption as well to make sure the kill is not going to happen. Ramses, can he escape? Healing Ward's out. Healing Ward's taken down. He's trying to juke it out in the tree line, but they jump forward. They find him. They've lost a second, and Solo to full as well. Double kill for KP. And Newbee, they really are just all over VP in this game.
It's so easy for them to start fights as well. There's almost anything they want. One Quap nearby, one center nearby. They start the fight. It's never advantageous to VP. They just don't have places to farm. It'd have to be VP grouping small 3-4 man smokes, getting solo kills somewhere. They just haven't had the opportunities.
And a big potential game finishing item picked up there from United as he has the AC now, so these CGs become even more easier. Pasha looking to jump in, only to clip out onto the Lifestealer. Can't quite finish him off here. At the least though, VP, look at Newbee at the base, but Newbee, they don't mind. They took the melee racks. They got what they came for. But VP, I mean, they're holding on. And as we mentioned, no one's farm. It's pretty much on par with S-Triple-C's quad. But he still needs an item or two. He's working towards the Scotty by the looks of it. Like queued up.
It's a good choice this game, just because it is very burst heavy coming out of Newbee, with the exception of Lifestealer obviously. But I think it's definitely what he needs to try to frontline. But I just feel like we're not seeing any value out of Abaddon still. Even the few times he has removed Disable, it just doesn't matter. There's so much damage coming that it's just a drop in the bucket. And
it really is the fact that he removes one Disable, but then another flies through. You know what I mean?
Even like a Quap Dagger here is significant, or an Open Wounds, or an Arrow, or a Centaur Stun. There's so many disables that in principle, it seemed like a really good choice to give them a laning advantage, but Newbee's matchups were just so advantageous, and the places that they were moving to, their rotations were always just fantastic. Really limited a lot of what Abaddon did. I feel like it's almost like Solo's playing his Ogre Magi style in this new patch, but he's playing on heroes that aren't Ogre Magi, that can't necessarily get away with not having any money.
I mean, that's him as well. I mean, you know, the Weavers are having a tough game. I don't think have we ever seen a Weaver go for the dual full-out Aquilas?
I have never seen 2 Aquilas before. No. It's actually not bad. The aura's wasted,
the
but
stats, I
it
guess,
still gives
nice.
you plus 19 damage.
And well, looking for a kill it, but the Requiem comes through, but there was a disruption, saving S-Triple-C from any of that damage. The Sonic Wave comes in. They've taken down the starter. No one trying to TP out. He's going to make it. There's nothing else to cancel that one. Solo will lose his life as well, though.
Oh, that was the gem.
Oh, that was the jet. They have only just bought that as well.
It's a good try. I mean, again, they got to get a kill somewhere, but
they've got to do
faith
something
in the right place gets the disruption and no death. So that was kind of a little bit of an attempt there. Didn't work out. Jug's getting a little close to Maelstrom at least. That could make a difference farm-wise, but
could certainly help him start to climb back up the board. I mean, considering what Ramsey is, we just kind of expect this boy to be at the top. It's not like he's miles behind. He's a couple of thousand miles SS Triple C. It's just the fact that U9 is so far ahead on his Lifestealer.
I mean, he's behind the Morana. That's a bad sign.
Yeah,
that's a really bad sign.
But then again, this Kaka Morana is pretty spectacular.
It is.
5-1-13. He is incredibly fat for this stage of the game.
He's been doing great. The Solar Crest pickup, interesting choice, but I like it. Helps offset some of that minus armor from his opponents. The right clicks from his opponents. It's a good choice.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And yeah, how many Aquilas will he buy? I think he has to go damage here, though. Just like something like a Deso is definitely the follow-up. Obviously, Aquila just gives pretty good value. Oh, he's going to go Dragonlance too. It's kind of a weird choice.
KP looking for the kills, has Unite right inside him. But VP able to get a little bit of warding out around this area, so feeling a little safer and trying to secure room for Ramses to farm. He knows that the KP's there, of course, with that vision, but in come Newbee with their gems, and they will be able to reclaim map control of that area of VP's map. And back into Roshan. It's back up, Newbee, continuing to play it safe. And obviously one melee racks up. having an Aegis under their in their hands could certainly allow them to go and look for a second opening. No one pressuring down the bottom, getting a bit of damage done potentially onto this tier 2. Really doing his best to hold in, keep the farm up. Nice picked up the Eagle song on the way towards that butterfly.
I think I like that. You know, something like a Scotty, it's just going to make the lifesteal a bit more on you, but the evasion is at least going to force him and some of the other enemies to actually get some focus more on right-click damage.
And he's going to have a nice bit of a damage spike soon as well. He's nearly hitting level 20, so he'll have the extra +2 damage.
That's Slaughter here.
He's going to go easily for the TP out. Have they got anything to cancel it? Yes, the bash is there.
Does damage work?
Oy,
They do so much damage.
Down ball again. It just doesn't stop the pain and suffering here for VP. Pick off after pick off. I mean, 30 minutes, a kill for every minute from the side of Newbee. An absolute bloodbath.
And all VP can do is just continue to farm, maybe look for some kills, but Newbee's movement has made it so difficult. Always off map, no wards on the map. Ramsey's going to try to split here. They will spot this.
Can he get himself out of this? He will get the chance to Blade Fury, I think, and potentially go for the TP straight out, and indeed he will. So nothing to hold him back from that. So neat little play there from Ramsey. He's avoiding death already though up top. The push is coming in. Unite. Looking towards no one. Shoves him back there with Hurricane Pike. Full out Butterfly is now complete. It has hit 20. So with an Amplify, or Corrosive Haze, sorry, out on a target, he can offer a fair bit of a punch.
He hits really hard right now, actually. 336 with full salts.
And he's just got to hope he gets the chance to do so still. A lot of control and lockdown from the heroes of Newbee. And of course, no BKB on this build from no one.
I think that's okay, though. There's quite a few disables on the enemy team, but with Abaddon backing him up, I think it's all right. They got to get a good initiation, though.
Trying to smoke into position here, Solo. Reveal up on the high ground. Ramsey's Lil and Pasha on the sidelines. It's a hard target to go, and Yunan kind of fronting this push, but he has the Aegis and incredibly stacked, of course, at this stage of the game.
He's actually quite hard to hit. He's got the Talent Tree passive for evasion, 15%. Plus they've got the Solar Crest, so he's a decent sieger in this case. 39 armor is okay. And as long as he sits back and it's not like 3 to 4 heroes getting caught by Slaughter Stun, then it should be an eventual tower for Newbee.
And he goes again. Just going to use the rage, but as we're seeing, I mean, he's just taking no damage whatsoever. Infests into the cart. He plays around with this one, jumps back out, turns towards Solo. Solo's going to go out for the cow. Pasha trying to TP out from the sideline, but the Yules is there. They'll be able to get themselves a second kill on the offensive here, and they'll call it. They'll tap out now. GG from VP here. Newbee to take the series 2-1. Game 2 looked a little rocky for them, but there's no denying Game 1 and Game 3, Newbee looked to be at the top of their game here in this patch.
Yeah, they really focus on their laning. That's what the draft is all about here. They have great lane matchups. They have pretty good rotations. They get occasional kills in their lanes, and it translates to this period of time where it just seems impossible for the other team to get any growth. And we've seen so many stomps actually in this tournament so far in comparison to other ones, which is a little surprising. I don't know if it's meta. I don't know if it's unfamiliarity. Maybe it's too many greedy picks. I think that could be a lot of it. I mean, was Abaddon really the right hero for this game? It looked good on paper, but it completely fell flat.
Yeah, that really was the case. And just the fact that in lanes it worked out brilliantly. I think we're seeing obviously SCCC, his quad is pretty remarkable. We've seen it in 2 games this series, and both times he had an absolute blazer of a performance. And for me as well, Kaka. You know, this man, his rotations. The early game here on the Mirana, he just crushed the beginnings of the game. And of course in Game 1 as well, a very memorable Weaver performance. But that is it from this series. 2-1 from Newbee. Don't go anywhere though, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a short break and then back to the panel for some post-game analysis. We'll see you around very shortly.
All right.
And I am now here with KP of Newbee with such a convincing win over VP. Oh, it's a dragon flying. Yeah, but anyway, what a convincing win. What happened there? Did you guys just figure out something or anything? I mean, how did that work? Like,
Actually, I'm not too sure. I feel like we just kind of played our own game, own style, and yeah, I think they played a bit worse than normal. But yeah, generally they do pretty well. So I don't know. I just felt like we just played our own game.
that's awesome. And speaking of playing your own game, two things I want to ask. You guys have pretty much the most experience in terms of playing the current patch on LAN. About four tournaments so far, 4 LANs so far. Has that helped in kind of shaping the way you guys play right now? And you played NA and you played, of course, teams in China. Any significant differences on how they play the patch based on what you've observed?
I feel like our experience is kind of an advantage for us because we learn a lot through this process. But on the other hand, because VP hasn't played any LANs at all, so it's pretty hard for us to study them. Overall, between NA and China, I feel like I think NA, for example, would prefer to split them up a bit more, especially VP as well. Whereas other teams will probably just 5-man a lot more and just stick together and like push or like just do things together more often.
That's awesome. And lastly, you guys never really changed much of your style. I mean, you still have the same combinations of players. I mean, is it because the patch wasn't really enough to kind of change your style, or you just thought, you know what, whatever happens, we'll just stick to what we know? Which direction have you guys decided based on the new patch?
To be honest, when 7.0 just came out, we did pretty poorly. Namely WCA, China top, we lost to EG in the finals. So I feel like gradually we found our touch, and I feel like VP also has a pretty similar style to us. Like the Drow strats, the Nakes, Jug, I think they're really, really similar to us. So I feel like we know how to play them, I guess.
That's awesome. Lastly, SCCC was former Army. I just want to ask one question. Have you seen him fight? Have you seen him like actual fight someone? Have you seen him?
Nah, but during the games, he just roars really loud.
Roars really loud?
Yeah.
Do you get scared for your life because he's former Army?
I think it gives us a morale boost, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. But would you like to see him destroy a person one day based on his skills? Would you enjoy it? No, I'm just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations once again to KP, come on, and your team, Newbee. You guys are done for the day, and get some rest, and we'll see you guys in a few, all right? KP of Newbee, and of course, we have our final match for tonight. Malaysia, you have been amazing. We'll see you in just a bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're back at the desk with our experts. Just to wrap up on our last match, it was a dominant performance, Ben, this time round, and Newbee were well worth their win in this last game.
Yeah, I really like the Centaur from them. I had some skepticism about
That's
him.
not what you said going into the game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything.
And then I saw it, I was like, wow, this thing owns.
Yeah.
I like the build too. The blink rushes.
The interesting thing as well, I suppose, is that they've used exactly the same 5 lineup, 5 heroes against MP early on. Didn't quite have the same result. Still won, still dominated the game, but it seemed like VP didn't have any answers at all.
Yeah, I think
just the early rotation from the Shadow Demon and the Mirana that really just sealed it from the very get-go. The fact that they could pick off kills on both mid and bottom lane to just ensure that Centaur could farm freely despite being up against the dual lane.
I mean, the fact that they picked up this up and then died twice in the middle lane, that's like very clearly you pick up the Baron to be able to counter this strategy at the very minimum in the mid lane, and then you immediately feed away 2 kills. Like that was just, I think VP were just a bit off, and it set them on the back foot immediately. Like, you can't pick up a strategy like that and then fail with it.
Yeah, the Abaddon is not supposed to die like that in the mid lane. He was like all the way down in the river.
Yeah, he was really far forward, and then he was, picking up, like, he was checking for Rune or something the second time around, and the SF got caught while he was away.
That matchup is very fragile in the mid lane. Like, anything can really upset the balance in between the Quap and SF.
Yeah.
I think there's also an inherent problem when your lineup has nothing to deal with Queen of Bane, Mirana, and Lifestealer, like in the sense that they can escape any way they want to. They have 0 disable. Like, they have a Slaughter and that's it.
Well, doesn't that come back to the draft with what we were saying before, is they both sort of went for their own draft, their own version of what they thought they wanted to play with, rather than trying to counter each other and figuring out what they needed to have in the draft, rather than just...
no,
Despite
but
Newbee waiting a lot, I'm just going to take this one.
Yeah.
Despite Newbee waiting a lot, I actually still feel like they dictated the draft and sort of picked VP into a corner.
Even though they picked exactly the same and VP knew, presumably they knew that that's the 5 they picked against MP.
You would assume so, and I still agree with the Axe-Ban just because it's a natural counter for the Abaddon, but I'm pretty sure Newbee was like, okay, we'll just take the hero we intended to all along.
And we said this early on. I think Purge brought up a great point at the very start of the show. Comfort picks are going to play a role in this tournament. It's not just about what can we define in the meta, what can we change, what pocket picks can we pick out and surprise pick. It's what we're comfortable on, and they're obviously comfortable on those five heroes that they played against MP earlier.
Yeah, but so did VP. VP very comfortable heroes. No one SF. Ramsey's on the Juggernaut. I guess maybe that.
But not the
so
event.
much. But Slardar. I mean, most of their lineup was something that they're very, very comfortable with. I think even without the Abba feeding a few kills, maybe it would have been a similar outcome. Maybe not as bad.
I disagree with this story that like both teams picked up like what they wanted, just because of the fact that like the event is very clearly not something that VP. It wasn't like they were ignoring the Newbee draft. They very clearly were trying to pick something to counter that, and maybe it was something that they weren't used to. But it also like affected their draft very clearly, trying to counter that, because then they had a Weaver Abaddon 2 supports. Like that just feels really bad.
It felt
not
like
to have
VP
any
was trying to
disables or
mimic
nukes.
2 different scenarios. They wanted to pick the Weaver and repeat what Newbee did to them in game 1, but then also pick the Abaddon and do what they did with the Wisp in game 2.
Yeah.
And that just leaves them with this very lackluster lineup.
Yeah, that's how it proved to be as well. Newbee are the first team into the semi-final. Has it changed? Well, we didn't get your predictions earlier on, Ben, because you were obviously casting the game, but you two picked out Virtus.pro to win this particular group.
Yeah.
Newbie looking strong.
Very much so.
Doesn't have anything to come back.
I took away.
Nothing to come back.
No, I took
Well,
away from VP because I felt like Newbee was had the better offlaner. Remember, it was Newbee, Wings, and DC.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, they were the 4 that we picked out before we came down
Yeah.
to the arena, and I don't think we're too far off with that. Are you just surprised, though, Kat, by just how well Newbee have just played?
I think I was a little bit more surprised about how poor VP looked in both game 1 and game 3. That for me was the biggest standout, because we all expected VP to still look really strong despite the Boston major and their placing there. I think we still expected them to be a top 4 team at an event like this for sure. And with that performance against Newbee, I'm a little bit doubtful of that. I know Newbee's a strong team, but I also think there were some very clear weaknesses in VP.
Ben, how important is it for experience at this point? Because 7-0-0 or 0-1, not been around very long. There's only been one tournament in China which Newbee took part in. They'll have learned some stuff around. I mean, you learn so fast at the start of a new patch, especially when there's so many changes. So do you think that maybe has had an impact on how they're playing here?
We also don't know how much they've scrimmed, right? Like if they haven't played officials and they haven't scrimmed, then they're definitely in a terrible spot. But we don't really have that information available to us. But I mean, they play enough pubs, so you can clearly kind of see that they grinded the games out and kind of familiar with 7.00. It's not like they don't know what shrines do.
No.
So it's not quite to that point.
No, quite.
But in your strategies, you can't be too stubborn, because the meta isn't defined yet, so you can't just assume that what you know is actually what is the best.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been the case here. I still think VP was just sort of picked into a hole, and honestly, Newbee just played in almost an arrogant fashion, where we've sort of seen Kaka on the Mirana just leaping in constantly.
No one around.
He did not care.
He did not care.
Just look at their heroes.
It looked like he was trying to solo kill in the bottom.
Yeah, but like even in the middle lane when he ran in,
doing?
what is he, level 3 or 4? And he just runs up close to a Shadow Fiend and he's like,
I'm going to start.
hello, I'm just going to start. Oh, I have 1 HP. Okay, I'll just leave now.
I mean, what's the Abaddon going to do in response? He's going to
Actually,
Aphotic Shield or something?
No,
You
if
know,
Abaddon had been there, the Mirana would have died actually.
Yeah,
too.
it's just like they can play that kind of fearless style because of the poor supports on.
Yeah, and SD is the same. He looked super comfortable on the Queen of Pain. Just kept on killing Pasha over and over again. We were just sitting backstage feeling sorry for the guy.
We've got our elimination matches to look forward to in Group A tomorrow. Obviously, two teams have got to play first. The winner will then end up playing Virtus.pro. Do you see either of those challenging them for the spot in the semi-final?
Only if Virtus.pro has been shook up from this defeat, and maybe if Fnatic catches some momentum. maybe.
Okay. You don't think MP will come through that game?
Not from what we've not seen so far. I mean, we haven't been able to
Yeah.
watch it, but from the statistics, not really, no.
I think
It's all about the stats.
I start off
He's
with
turned into an hand.
That's what I have to go from right now. I'll have to go home and watch the games.
I start off with NP being the dark horse of this tournament, just
Yeah.
because I thought they could bring some innovation. And I think they I think before they were a dark horse, and then a new patch, that kind of renews that idea. But I think, Ben, were you the one who brought up the fact that NP usually plays a lot slower, and that doesn't really fit this patch? So I kind of revised that, and I don't think that NP can actually make that, but we'll see.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, all three of you. We are, of course, headed towards our second best of three match today. It is the winners bracket game in Group B. Before we get there, though, let's check in with Sir Action Slacks, who's in the audience right now.
That is correct, Paul. It is just Genting started over here, boys. Woo! All right. I'm here with some boys there. What is your name, sir?
Jalal.
How long have you been in this arena today, sir?
A long time. We were the first through the door.
At what time was that?
About 8 in the morning.
8 in the morning. And we're still fighting here. We're still alive, sir. I want to have your help here. We got to hype up the crowd. This is the last series.
All right.
All right?
Yep.
Give me some hype. Let's hear it out. Give me the best you can. Get this crowd awake and alive.
Woo! How's it going, Genting?
That is very generous of them.
Ready, guys?
Are you ready? Okay, let me handle this. All right. Genting, are you tired? No! Are you ready for the last best of three of the day, boys? Yeah! Then let's hear it for this last one. Bring it all you got. Let's go! Woo! That's how you do it, baby. That's how you do.
That's how we do it.
All right, boys. So back to you guys on the panel.
That's how we do it in Manila. Malaysia.
Got Manila! Quickly, cut it, Paul. Go!
Unbelievable. I should point out a few people at home said, "Where's the crowd? Why is there not a big crowd?" They're all outside eating. They're having a break right now. They've gone to the toilets, the bathrooms, and what have you, and they'll all come back in. It was completely full earlier. Probably the wrong time to have done that. But nevertheless, Sir Action Slacks, of course, bringing all the hype to the crowd and getting them all hyped up. We'll hear more from these three gentlemen very shortly, but we are headed to a break right now, which means it's time for you to go and take a break at home as well, because when we come back, it is an epic match of all proportions. It is the best of the last. We've saved the best till last. It is the replay of TI6 Grand Finals. That's right, it's DC versus Wings. It's next.
What accent was that?